You're tuning in to Past Our Prime,
a show powered by Squad Locker.
Here are your hosts, retired Astros minor league star Tip Fairchild and former Patriots All-Pro center Dan Copen.
Hey, here we go. Episode 43. We are past our prime. That's Tip. I'm Dan. We got a good one. We just spent a while.
We did. We had a ton of questions.
Talking to a Jessica Kleinschmidt. It's Kleinschmidt. It's
tough word to spell, but
Tip has some trouble sometimes.
Really I struggle when there's a lot of consonants altogether.
That's true. All right. It's not that hard. She's a Major League Baseball reporter, formerly with NBC Sports in the Bay Area. Covers the A's for them. A plethora of knowledge.
Oh, she knows like every player, every contract.
Shit.
We didn't go deep into the contract stuff, but we had some funny questions for her. She's a wealth of knowledge.
She's very good, very quick, very funny. And after the interview, we were sitting in here and we're ready to talk about some other things, but Max sometimes puts some stuff on a whiteboard in front of us, in a dry erase board. I'm looking at the Jessica Kleinschmidt shit, Max. I'm just wondering, do you listen or watch this show?
Do you listen when we speak?
Do you honestly think 5 critical offseason needs for the A's, is that going to be a question that is going to come out of either of our mouths?
You got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for Tip to just go in.
No way. I'm never going to talk about the 5 critical offseason needs for the A's.
No.
I don't know one critical need.
Tell us about some of the recent articles you've been writing.
No.
Mine?
Okay.
Or hers?
That's the question you could have asked.
Hey, no. I appreciate the fact that you wrote it out, but if you're gonna like do some background and shit, like, one, tell us it's there.
Yeah.
Or 2, send it to us before we're doing the article and not just like writing it up on a dry erase board while we're doing it.
First of all, I know that.
Like, now I know she's from Reno, Nevada. I didn't know that before.
It's behind his head.
Jesus, Max.
Oh, it's all right. It's okay, Max.
Jessica, first question. Max, our producer, would like to know, what are the 5 critical off-season needs for the Oakland Athletics?
Jessica, do you mind answering that question so that everybody can turn this off?
Next week, I won't
That's
prepare.
That's a blog. Like, and I bet that blog is killer. I bet she hammered those points, right?
Yeah.
To people that wanted to learn those things.
A's. Yeah, we're an East Coast show. You know, we do have. Well, maybe we have a huge A's following.
I don't think so.
We might.
I really don't.
We might. We never know.
No.
Okay. Well, you know who we do have a following for, though?
Someday.
We do have a pretty big Patriots following.
Yeah.
And a pretty big Red Sox following. So, the Patriots game against Brady. You watched it at home. I watched it at home. I watched every minute of it, every second of it.
I did too.
You did too. Not a ton of fanfare. Didn't expect that with Brady. Gave a thank you to the crowd after. Met with Belichick for, I think, 20 minutes after the game, from what I heard. Any insight on that?
I don't. I don't. I know he...
Closed-door meeting.
Closed-door meeting. And, of course, Bill, and like you said, the fanfare. I think it probably played out... Even with the weather, you know, like the rain and all that shit.
Probably what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
In terms of the people involved. Maybe not like some of the fans out there. They probably wanted a little more. It turned into
a classic, New England game that Brady's, played in that stadium before and won so many games before. Fourth quarter, last drive to win the game.
Yep.
Type of thing. I do know he is relieved.
Yes.
I texted him afterwards and I just said, congrats on the win. Bet you're glad that's over.
And you probably just got a heart on it.
You're goddamn right. I'm glad. And that's that's a lot. And
heavy.
He's just, he's on another level, another planet, and the following he gets and the coverage he gets and everything he does, it's just got to be exhausting, especially leading up into that week. It's just got to be hell.
And he's, somewhat kind of an emotional guy anyway, right? With like the passion of like being picked, $199 and all that stuff. Like, I bet that just week sucked. It was like emotionally draining. I bet. And he'd never say that probably, but
no,
I know that he was
at
probably
some
like,
point you
Jesus,
got
I got to get over this.
At some point, yeah, I know he plays with a chip, and that's just who he is. But at some point, you sort of got to get used to the fact that you were drafted 199th. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I know. I like it.
You've made over $200 million or whatever it is. You're making $75 million last year. Like, great. Who gives a shit? You know what? You probably made $100 million off that $199 T-shirt from Under Armour too. This is like,
probably. I can't find it anymore.
I'd be going like,
I'd buy that shirt for $200.
Thank God I was drafted $199. What the hell?
You're right.
You know?
I hear you.
But
good game. I found myself a Patriots fan because I wanted that kick to go in. That was a perfect game to like get your decision of like what you were rooting for.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I want this kick to go in. I liked Mac Jones doing it. I hate losing, obviously, but at the same time, I was like, hey, there was a lot of things good happened here. This is good. Like, we're on to it now. I wanted the win. I wanted the win.
And I am guilty at this. I'm so sick of this now.
What?
New England fans, New England Patriots, the team, and all that shit, and everything surrounding them. Used to be about winning.
It is.
No, it's not, Tip. It's not about winning anymore.
It will be now.
No, it's not.
No, we needed to get this out of our... This was closure.
Tip,
this was the closure.
This was the closure. You want to close it with a victory. That's what you want to do. Closure is winning.
I agree with that. This was
closure
closure, though. This was closure.
Not closure.
This was closure.
It's NFL. It's professional sports. People move on all the time.
This was the one last day.
I get it was a big deal. I get it. Trust me. But...
you do probably get it.
What I hate is now, and I was guilty as hell, and then watching that game and wanting the kick to go through.
Did you want it to go through?
It turned back to the same thing we've been talking about last year, which, by the way, last year you could probably put blame on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have a good quarterback. And it was COVID. And there was excuses last year. First year, Brady moving on. Second year, you loaded up in free agency. You have the quarterback of the future, which is what everybody's been saying. And I completely agree. 100% agree. There is a quarterback for the future in here.
Yep.
But your job is to freaking win. You got to win.
No, I agree with you, Dan. You have to win that game.
The fact that moral victories in this area with the media and the fans and the team itself probably is driving me bonkers now for the last few days. I freaking hate it.
We got through the closure. Now it's time.
Closure.
If we were 2-2 right now, I'd be like, okay, closure happened. Now it's a 12-game season. Now it's on.
Good. I hope you're saying that because next week if they lose,
now we're 1-3, so now we got to win.
There's not a lot of room for
next
error
week
right now.
We lose, we're out.
Look, I think this team, the defense, I think they're playing good.
Not making any big plays.
The quarterback is playing good.
Need to make bigger plays. Both.
The quarterback played great, especially in the no huddle. And you want to talk about like all those like the media experts and analysts and all that shit for the first 4 weeks. Like, oh, he's checking down. He's checking down. He's checking down. Well, guess what? He's been hit like 13, 15 times every goddamn game.
By the way, I loved the hurry up with him, though.
If he stands in there, which he did, like this guy's a tough kid.
He is.
There's no doubt.
Gets rid of it fast, too.
He's standing it in there, and he's checking it down, or he's finding that 5-yard option, whatever it is in close to the line of scrimmage. But there's a guy in his face, or he's getting hit, and he's still standing in there and making the throws, which is cool. And if you give him time, maybe he can throw it past 10 yards.
That's true. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I'm
from this point,
the closure. From this point on,
him and his personal feelings about closure.
Did you watch the game, Max? Did you watch the whole game?
I actually did. I bought a streaming service so I could actually.
Oh yeah, you've been having trouble watching
because he doesn't
TV.
Have cable, or
I don't have trouble watching it. I just don't have.
Look at Max.
Access to cable.
There's your computer. We can
we
do
can
it right
give you
now.
a little like a password. We can put it on there so you're good to go. We'll take care of you after the episode.
He's too busy researching Oakland A's questions.
Now we got to get him the MLB package just so he can only watch the Oakland A's all year next year.
I'll just put it on while I'm folding laundry. Just like
That's it. That's what we talked about. That's right.
Biggest
TV background noise.
Biggest need number 1, check.
Yeah. Biggest need, cable. Ability to watch the game.
So if you have your closure now we can
now we're going.
We're about
Season
wins,
starts.
right?
Now we're about wins.
Okay. Because I'm done. I'm sick of the moral victories. New England does
I agree
not.
with that.
New England, no, you don't. Because for the last 4 weeks, I think I've agreed with you too.
But I'm in a point now that it's like, tell you what, they should have won.
You're in your
defense,
Patriot love fest.
No, the defense
and
needed to
TB
make a
love
couple
fest.
plays. No, I have a love fest.
Who are you a
with
bigger
TB.
fan of, TB or Mac Jones now? Let's prove it.
Oh, TB.
Okay, so you're still not done.
God, I'll never be done with him. Like, that's the love of a lifetime right there. You can't get done with him. But Mac Jones is going to be awesome, which is great to see. It's
great to see.
The Red Sox won last night.
It's going to be awesome,
Let's
but
go
he's
to
not getting you
baseball.
wins right now.
He will.
I agree. I agree with that. But do you get my point?
Totally get it.
Good.
Starting next week.
Don't come out of it and say it's like, but we got the quarterback of the future.
No, that's the last time I'm going to say it. It's the last time I'm
There
going
are
to say
no
it.
moral victories in this sport in New England. And you know why I figured it out?
Yep.
You know what it is? It's not. Take a look back. It's like what Bill taught or what he wanted out of a team was to play good in critical situations.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
They haven't done that. They haven't done that in a year and a half, whatever you want to do, like a year and 4 games.
There were 2 big third down plays that they needed. The defense needed to step up, and that game was over.
Well, the defense stepped up a lot. They held the Buccaneers to like 19 points, which
they
is
did.
fine, but you got to get more on the board. But like you got to make that stop. You got to you make that turnover, score that, get the first down or score that touchdown.
Yep.
Or, get off the field on third down, and they're not making, it's 1 or 2 plays that can affect a game or, the outcome of a game. And if you don't make those plays, you're not going to win the game. So
I'm with you on it.
we're good.
The Red Sox won.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
You watched your first game of the year? First baseball game of the year?
Because I watched Field of Dreams 1.
That's right.
You know what? I got to tell you,
Playoff baseball's fun to watch.
it was fun, and I'm only saying that because I feel bad even saying I'm a Red Sox fan. I root for the Red Sox. I can't consider myself a fan
Because you haven't watched enough.
because I don't watch enough, and that's probably an insult to fans.
Should we go to a playoff game? That's not a hard one.
It's past my bedtime.
Did you get
It
your
is
gold
late.
card?
No, not yet. I haven't figured
Good
out how to
question,
get there.
Max.
I have the card. My last time I paid dues though was 2019.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The answer is yes, as if it's free.
No, it's $500. I know that. No, I've paid dues every year. I just stopped
No,
paying
I'm talking
dues
about
in
my ticket to the
2019.
game.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yes, we can figure that
I don't care what you're paying for dues.
Yeah. All right. So we'll find a way to get tickets and we'll go. I love seeing them win. Garrett Cole, you get paid $300 million. You got to, that's for that game. That's why you're getting that money.
Good call.
It's tough to have that loss. So, but it was great to see the Red Sox win. And by the way, it's tough to judge somebody on one game. So I'm not like,
Yeah, we talked. I
busting
mean,
too
we
much
talked
balls
to
here,
Jessica
but-
about it. One game's tough, man. 162 games in the year, and then you got a play-in game for the wild card. I get it's exciting, but
yeah, I mean, you want to
go 3-game series or something.
His belly
like that.
hurt that day or something. He's got, like if you're not feeling your best, then you get shelled. That's tough.
Well,
You can have a bad day, not on Sundays, right?
You
Isn't
can
that
have a
what you
bad
heard?
day, just not on Sundays. Yes,
Yeah.
and I get it. It's do or die game. I like it. That's all football is. But baseball's just kind of a different sport. I think you need
Series.
more than one.
Got to have the series. I agree. So we're jumping into that. We do have some cool sweatshirts that we're going to do some donations to. What fund are we doing, Max?
Special Ops.
Special
Warriors.
Ops Warriors Fund. I saw a sweatshirt or something somewhere. I don't know where I saw this, but we started making them at Squad Locker. So we're going to we're going to post it up.
We're going to post where our Past Our Prime show store
going.
is.
Yeah, we got proceeds going. We also did a shirt too because we learned the word pipe hitter.
Oh, God.
From Rut. We went out and had some beers with Rut.
Yeah, Rut was in.
And
last week we were able to go.
we must have had how many gallons of beer did we drink?
A lot of gallons.
We were there for a while and it was loud, so we were talking loud. So you needed to drink.
Oh, that was so freaking annoying.
You need
though.
to drink to like keep your mouth, watered, and it would just they
It
were
was
going
like a
down.
Thursday night, and the place is good. It's a bar. It's a good
Yeah.
atmosphere. TVs, the food,
Just
the
got
wings
loud.
are good. For some reason, on a Thursday night at like 9 o'clock, they bring in a goddamn DJ.
Oh, it was so loud, and we were screaming at the table. But how good are those stories?
Oh,
We got to get him back on immediately.
Yeah. I think, with our challenges that we do, and then talking to Rut, and he's talking about being a pipe hitter.
Oh, what a word! What a word!
It just sticks with you and what those guys go through. And
Yeah.
like talking to Kevin Lace,
Yep,
could talk to those guys all day long because they lived a different life.
they're badass. So we made some shirts up. So you can buy them, and then we're going to do a donation at any time. I don't know. We might let it run for a while, and
Well,
then
the
just
good thing
donate
is
it every month.
The good thing is Squad Locker stores are always open.
Always open. You can buy one.
There's
gonna be cool.
There's no window, so we'll post a link, and a portion of the proceeds will be going to a great cause.
We
for the
will
Warriors.
Next as soon as we get ours, because we threw an order in to get some. We'll wear them, and then we'll do a bigger promotion at that. But we can maybe post
By the way,
this max.
these shirts are money.
Oh, that's all I'm going to wear. I'm going to cut the sleeves off of these things, wear them working out, which we're trying to still do our Murph challenge. The pull-ups are going to be difficult, people. The run is there. I got the lungs back on the run.
The run's there. You've ran like 3 times.
No, I've run like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running a mile is nothing. I've been doing it with the vest too, there, Chief.
Are you taking the bike into the office anytime?
I got the bike right here.
I know.
It's been here for 3 months.
My bike, it's been here. I rode it here once thinking I was going to ride it all the time. It's still here. Yeah. But it's going to be, we'll post some more about this. Murph Challenge still going on. Jessica Kleinschmidt coming up next. She's a good interview. Stay tuned. So today, episode 43. I know that I say that.
Said it again.
I did it again. It's good. We're going to just let it roll.
How many times do you want to say it?
I say episode 43 all the time.
We said it once or twice in the beginning, and now you're going to say it again.
That's fine. That's fine. Jessica Kleinschmidt.
Yes.
MLB reporter. I'm excited to have you on here because we just witnessed a big win last night for the Red Sox. I'm dating us again because this is coming out tomorrow, but this is how we do it. We wanted some MLB insider information. We've had some football people on for that with Giardi?
Mike. Yep.
Mike.
That was a fellow colleague of hers.
Okay.
For NBC Sports.
Yeah,
I don't know.
NBC.
When did you get to NBC Sports, Jessica?
November 2018.
2018. All right. So Mike was moved on, but I was a former NBC Sports
former
employee as well.
NBC Sports employee.
Yeah.
Look at you.
It didn't
I feel
last.
like we've all kind of, if you've worked it in sports, like you've dealt with NBC at one point.
Yes.
Or another.
Well, I mean, they got great coverage, great
Yes.
reporters,
Right.
great newscasters, play-by-play. It's good. But NBC Sports out there specifically. So out here, it's Nesson for us in the Red Sox
Correct,
that has
yeah.
all the games. So NBC Sports Bay Area out there carries all the Giants or the A's games.
So
Or
NBC
both.
Sports Bay Area is Giants, NBC Sports California is A's, but they're kind of intertwined because it's the biggest RSN. So you got those two teams. You have the Warriors, the Sharks, the Kings, and we did have the Raiders, but they moved on. And then, of course, we have the 49ers as well. So there's a bunch of stuff that happens there.
So when you turn on the TV out there, say you were off day, right? And you just were able to watch anything you wanted to watch. What team do you turn on?
What sport? Let's
Yes.
start with
Oh, let's do that.
Let's
Like,
start with
I
sport.
like that. Let's start with sport, and then we'll go to team. I like that.
I actually am a baseball girl. I played baseball growing up. So that's what I know. And I was actually an A's fan being grown up too. So it kind of worked out beautifully in that regard.
I like that.
So if the boys were on the road and I was off, I'll still go to the bar and watch them play.
Nice. So you didn't have to travel. Did you have to travel with the team when you were?
No, I did not. I did some
have to.
traveling, but not with the A's. Like
Got
I
it.
kind of did like little gigs here and there. But NBC was a little finicky about travel just because COVID was still relatively recent. But I did get to go to spring training this season, which was great, but we didn't get the full experience because we were all wearing masks and like it was just a weird vibe and it just didn't really feel like spring training. It was actually kind of awkward and I wasn't on the field talking to the players, so it felt like I wasn't even working. It was just awkward.
It had to have been better than last year, though, right? Because last year it was more.
Well, it didn't happen.
It was Zoom interviews, right? Everything's with Zoom. You weren't in front of the players. I went to the Pats training camp once this year, and the reporters were there. Everybody was back at training camp, but still, it was 15 feet back from everybody. It was still weird, but at least you're there with the players and seeing it. Is that better? I mean, obviously it's better, but is it closer to normal? All that stuff.
It is. And we can actually, because for me, my favorite part, like just being a former player myself, like I like to look at the intricacies of, Matt Chapman taking the infield or batting practice or like what Chad Pinder is working on. And you can't see that stuff as like from home, and that's my favorite part is being observant and seeing what these guys are doing. And that's a huge chunk of just being a reporter because you look at what they're doing and you're asking them why they're shifting their hips a certain way, stuff you wouldn't see during like the actual game itself because they're working on the different warm up exercises and everything like that. So it was definitely a game changer. And I think we got back in, I want to say around the All-Star break. We were physically allowed to go on the field if we were vaccinated, which to me was amazing, just because I actually know the guys and I'm close with them. And I think they were excited too to actually talk to us in person. That eventually wore out because you know how players are with the media. They're like, whatever. And so that's that. But I missed that. That's my favorite part. I feel so comfortable on a baseball field and everything like that. So it was a game changer. I will say though, with Zooms, I was able to do so much more content because I could do back-to-back interviews as opposed to waiting and going out there and being a girl, you have to put the makeup on and all that crap. And it's just like a whole different thing. But it was kind of cool to get rid of Zoom, but I also appreciate Zoom because you can do so many things within like a 6-hour period.
So I listened to a couple things that you've done, right? Whether it's on a podcast or no. And here's what I learned. You know your shit like so much because
Thank you.
I played and I'm like, and I follow the game. And like right now, I mean, I'm from New England, so I've always been a Red Sox fan. But what I've told Dan before, and I think you kind of agree with me on this, is once you've played the game, a lot of times what you root for you root for people more than teams, right? So I'm 37, so I still have not a lot of guys, but there's still a bunch of people that I was coming up through with that I know well that are still playing. And it's like you seem to root for those people or you root for the person that you know rather than like, hey, I really want this team to win, unless I have like a betting, thing going on. Then I roll for that. But
money over friendships all day.
Exactly. Yeah, no question. So listening to you go on about it though, it's like you know so much more about the game and trades and deadlines and if they're on their rookie deal and if they're in arbitration, it's like that stuff to me is like poof, like it's not in my brain at all. Even when I was playing. I had no idea. I was so naive to it. I think most guys actually are because you're just relying on your agent to do it. How do you learn all that stuff? I mean, is that just being around it? Did you do that before you were in the broadcasting side of the world or the communication side?
It's a lot of developing relationships. And for me, I started out as a fan and before I kind of got 100% into the broadcasting realm, I developed like this personality on social media. So people are just curious about like, who is this person? And I wanted to be an agent when my little brother was playing because I thought he was going to be this really good minor league catcher. I was not stupid. I wasn't going to be like, oh bro, you're going to make the bigs. I was like, no, I really think you can be one of those lifers in AAA. I really do. And so I started studying how it kind of works. And it's a lot about developing relationships. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, up until recently, agents were kind of pieces of shit. They didn't care about who you were.
I had a good agent. I had a good agent.
It definitely depends on what agents you go with.
The agents I do know genuinely that I can actually have a rapport with and a conversation with, I can tell that they want to help me out as well. And so it's about asking the questions and just being a curious person, because as a member of the media, you want to develop the players' trust, you want to develop the agent's trust, because I can easily tweet out X, Y, and Z, and I have enough of a following where people are going to believe it, whether it's true or not. So for me, it's just like being curious about things, and sometimes they just offer it up to me. I'm like, hey, like, how's everything going? I know it's like, this is your free agent year. Do you think you want to return to this team? Everything like that. And they'll like, let me know. Some of the stuff I just don't go on the record with because that's a dick move on my part. But I also know that you need to educate the people that are curious about things. And in order to educate other people, you have to educate yourself first. So it's more, I'm a college dropout, so I couldn't really learn any of this stuff. It was just kind of teaching myself and developing relationships and being curious, because as much as that saying is there's no stupid questions, I'd rather ask a stupid question and have them be like, that was a dumb question, and say, well, why was it a dumb question? You never answered it before, so let me know. And that, if anything, shows, okay, well, she's just curious type of a deal. So you just got to kind of grow a couple and be confident and ask stupid questions. Weird as it sounds.
Remember we asked
I ask
Girardi
dumb questions all the time.
But we told Girardi the same thing, though. We were like, nothing better than breaking a scoop. Wasn't the name of that episode like Scoops or something like that? Right? Like, and it's like, how do you know which things to say and not say? I think that's a tricky line, right?
Like,
I think that like what she says, you're just developing a relationship with someone and reading people. If you ask a question, let's say you're digging for something, you ask a simple question, can you tell by how they answer that, he's holding back or he knows something?
Yeah. There's one particular player who I'm extremely close with, but the moment I press record, he doesn't say shit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting because we both have this affinity for Joey Votto, and we'll just be talking.
I can't tell by that. I can't tell by that license plate in your son.
Right, like that's not apparent at all. I love him so much. I had A's GM David Forst on my podcast once, and I was like, Votto gets on base. Like, I don't know. He's like, you don't think I knew that, Jess? Like, I was like, I don't know. I'm just saying. But I think that was tampering, but fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
So with him, it was cool. He was like going off about how he hates certain things about these nerds kind of being the determinant of who gets in the hall and going off and talking about this and talking about that. And the moment I pressed record, I would try to reiterate those questions, and all of a sudden he had nothing. Mm-hmm. And then I would stop pressing record and he would go off again. So it was kind of like, I understand you, whatever. And also like, when you're in the clubhouse and these guys are extremely aware of the things that they say in front of you. And as much as they say they don't read a lot of the stuff, some shit just pops up on their Twitter timeline. It's whatever. And if I write something and I told them that's off the record and I do write it, I physically cannot do that. It just makes me feel like an asshole, but they check that stuff, you know, or even if you see them out and they're out doing whatever, I could easily tweet and say, I saw this guy, whatever. Like, first of all, like leave him alone, like let him have his meal type of a deal. And, you know, when you do grow up in baseball and then eventually you work with the players that you used to cover and you go out with them and they tell you things like same thing, sometimes just story time, whatever. And I also don't have a problem saying, is that on the record or is that off the record? Like, can I use that? Could I follow up with like a formal interview? You let them know when you're recording. I struggle with that sometimes just because I'm like dumb, but you have to really be confident in being okay with being told what is okay and what's not. So nobody's ever going to be like, Jessica, that was stupid for asking me if you're allowed to talk about that.
So do you have your spies, and do you ever cite sources as unnamed?
Sources. Just sources.
Or sources.
Just sources.
Yeah.
So you will go just sources if they say it's okay, or you can say, all right, I won't reveal who you are.
Yeah, and I'll like if I have to follow up on something, be like, hey, can I refer to you as a source? I won't use your name. Sometimes they're like, fucking say my name. I don't care. Like whatever. And
baseball players' contracts are guaranteed. They shouldn't give a shit anyway.
Yeah, Dan's bitter about that.
I'm so bitter about that.
Contractual thing though, you know, and especially nowadays where
now the agent side's coming out now.
There you go.
The marketing aspect is huge. You know, people want to know about the Lance Lynn's of the world without knowing too much. And sometimes if you are like, I'm a reporter, but I'm also like a personality in the industry too. So they know that sometimes I'm getting more attention than them. So they have to respect that too. And I feel like that's important because if you have this reputation of, for me, like being honest and authentic, if I tweet something out about a guy, people are going to believe it. But I also know that they're human beings too. It's like, if you're having a bad day and of course I have to ask you like what wasn't effective for you against the Yankees or the Red Sox that day, I know what kind of answer I probably could get, but you have to ask those stupid questions sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. What's the number one cliche that you hear? So that was this is a good question.
No, it's great because I know them all.
Short-term memory.
What is it? Short-term memory. You hear that's the cliche. Memory. Okay, so because I was going to give you.
Is that basically a no comment and a different verbiage or whatever?
Kind of, but also like I get it. And I think it was for me, like I tend to like think about things forever. Like in third grade, this girl was so rude to me and I would never forget it. I still try to stalk her on Facebook to see if she's having a miserable life, but and she is. So, nice. So it's kind of like that, but you have to have a short-term memory, especially in baseball, you know, every single day. Think about it this way. You're batting .333. You fucking failed twice.
Yeah, you lose a lot.
3 times.
That's right.
Right. So you have to go back out the next day and be like, oh shoot. It's not like Shohei Ohtani, where if he fucks up at the plate, he's daddy on the mound that day. We did that in high school, maybe college, if you were allowed to even yourself out like that. But if you went 0 for 4, you got to suck it up and do it again. You're going to be in the starting lineup the next day. And I feel like that was so imperative. And I'm also very curious about the athlete mindset. So at first it was like, cool, like how do you have a short-term memory, And then it just kind of kept happening. And it was like, okay, especially with the A's where they're very streaky and they had to have a short-term memory because nobody wants to talk about the fact that they lost 6 in a row, right? And stuff like that. So that was a redundant statement. And I feel like that's baseball was very repetitive.
I was going to give you mine. It's usually, hey, I'm nothing without the guys behind me. something like that, or I just make the pitches, the guys make the plays behind me. Or if you have a bad game, it's hey, I didn't make the right pitches, and these guys, they did damage with it. Right. Mm-hmm. That was a very common sentence for me.
Good.
It was either if you do well, thank everybody else.
Give everybody else credit.
If you do poorly, put it on yourself. That was like my only cliche that I would live by. And I think that if you listen to basically any baseball interview, it feels that way. Probably all sports, pretty much.
Yeah.
Football's that way.
100%. Team game, we didn't make enough plays to win. Yeah. Credit to them. They made more than us. I got to do better next time. Bill's favorite one is, we got to play better as players. We got to coach better as coaches. If that's the loss, that's what's coming out.
It's the Bull Durham scene with Kevin Costner when he's like, and God willing, I'll be able to play again the next day or something like that. That's what it is.
Hey, write this down.
Yeah, write it down on the bus. Exactly.
But I will say a lot of the players don't like to talk about themselves, so they're happy to talk about their teammates.
Right.
And Ramon Laureano and Chad Pinder are the king of that, and they're very much like, you ask them about them, but then you ask about somebody else, and they kind of light up. And you guys have all know people. I could assume when you retired, the thing you missed most was your boys, right? You missed the camaraderie of that, and so think about that from that perspective. They love talking about each other, and I'm not just tooting my own horn, but I've never seen a better chemistry-driven team. And I know people are weird about chemistry than the 2021 A's. They were struggling, but you would go in the dugout and you're like, that's good content. Them just being bros and being boys and everything like that. And that's the stuff that I love. And I feel like that shows with how close they are when they'd rather talk about other people than themselves.
And by the way, that's the stuff you remember.
Yeah, it's not on the baseball reference page.
Yeah,
but
like
you're
we have this. I mean, we're 43 episodes in. Out of that, we've probably talked to 30 of our friends
instead of 43 times.
Yeah, said it 43 times. We've talked to 30 friends that it's like a reunion show. We had Sergio Perez on last week that I played with for 5 years. I haven't talked to him in 7 or 8 years, but you're like, bang, right back to it. And we say this all the time. And it's like, the reason why is because we remember, a funny story on the bus, or we remember, like a hilarious prank that was played. We don't remember what he did on July 4th in the game. We remember like laying on the field, drinking beers behind the fence, watching the fireworks. Right? You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. So, and I think that's with you being in the clubhouse and in the dugout and kind of on the field, like you said, I think that you probably have a little bit more of a firsthand experience than traditional fans, right? Yeah. You're the voice of these guys, like like you mentioned, you put up a tweet the other day and you had 100 mentions in it and everybody was after you for the Red Sox, which we'll get to. But like you're the voice of that. You have a better idea, right? Like these fans don't. They really don't. And it's like it sucks because I wish that they could experience like a day in the dugout so they can see that we're humans, not just like a $300 million robot like everybody expects Garrett Cole to be, right? Oh,
and he's probably the most robotic if we're being honest. But at the same time, you're right. Like he even he admitted he wasn't effective against the Red Sox. And I think it was and it's also kind of cool to see that. Like, even I saw Buster Posey make kind of like a weird play where, Buster's a pro. He's certainly a veteran. And he kind of effed up at third. And you're like, Buster knows that play. But you're like, oh, wait. He's a human, and sometimes you just have like a brain fart and shit gets weird. And that happens to me all the time. Sometimes I'll go on camera and be like, wait, how do I spell MLB? Like, why am I not thinking about that? And you have to have those moments because, Tony Kemp gave me this. It was very much a cliche quote, but I think you can love it. You're succeeding at the games. You're succeeding the most at a game of failure. Yeah. And you're just kind of sitting there like, yeah, you have to be good at a game where you're going to F up a majority of the time. And you don't think about that because all you see is a 333 batting average and you don't realize like that's good, but like also they screwed up a bunch and you need those aspects. Of course, the Twitter mentions, the guys who peaked in JV baseball, like love to talk about how they had their glory days and stuff like that. But they also have a sense of they have to play a certain way because I paid money for this ticket, which I somewhat get, but I also am like, but I got to be honest, I don't want them to be in the dugout. That's my territory, and that's the players' territory. Like, I'll tell you whatever, but I know it's different when the guy puts on the uniform compared to like his warm up stuff and everything like that. I think I have to disagree. I don't want them to be in there.
Okay.
I want them to kind of look at y'all as a robotic way in a way, because you deserve that. You fucking work your asses off and you get paid tons of money. You want that separation. Social media gets you close enough.
That's true.
Right?
Social media gets you close enough now.
It gets you close enough.
right.
Does that piss you?
You get a little bit.
But does that piss you off now? The fact that all the technology, the iPhones, and everybody's got a camera. Everybody's in the media now, right?
Yeah.
So they're posting
because they could catch something.
They're
right?
posting shit.
Yeah.
I mean, Urban Meyer last week or last weekend, which for whatever reason he didn't go home on the team charter. Which I've never seen a head coach not go on the team charter.
Yeah.
Not that it's wrong necessarily, but hey, you're the main guy. Let's set a good example. Go home. You got enough money. Take a private jet and go fly back to Columbus if you want. He gets caught doing something in the bar. Does that piss you off when people are sort of taking your job?
Scoops. Yeah, they're doing the news.
Yes and no. I feel like I noticed it a lot. I asked a stupid question to Matt Olson recently, and I really don't think it was a stupid question. I was kind of following up with his body language. And instead of this person sliding into my DMs and saying, like, Jessica, that was a stupid question, they wanted to quote tweet it so everybody could see I asked a stupid question. It's different for a woman. She shouldn't be there because she never played the game, which if you look in the press box, I have a lot more baseball playing experience than a lot of the dudes around me. That's another thing.
Baseball writers, just not an athletic group.
Yeah.
It's like, congratulations on, whatever you think that you're doing. But people want to go viral. That's all it is.
Okay.
They want to be like whatever. And I understand, like, even you see somebody famous, you get excited and you want to put it on TikTok, whatever, and you get all the retweets and stuff like that. And they get an ego about it. They don't care that they probably don't even know that Urban Meyer is an actual person. They look at him as a coach and they have a certain type of way about them. They have a responsibility. Human beings don't feel like they have a responsibility if they're below you. They think you have to do everything beautifully and correctly. You're not supposed to be flawed. You have to be perfect because I'm part of the reason why you're there and this and that. Mm-hmm. And it's a disgusting thing and I absolutely hate it. But I can confidently say, if you're going to go viral, congratulations, but you will never be able to do what I do. So there's no competition.
Got it. You said something there too. You brought up, being a female in the space and everything. You had a good quote. I wrote it down. You said, like women in sports, being authentic, staying true to who you are, and offering a unique approach. You mentioned that one time.
Yeah.
I played from 2005 to 2010. You were what, 2003?
3 to 13.
Two different sports, right? MLB, NFL. I think that even in my time, 2005, right, we always had female beat reporters,
right.
Whether it was, broadcasters, newscasters, there was always a female presence around. It was actually, for a little while, we mentioned this on the last podcast, like it caught me off guard a little bit in the clubhouse sometimes when it would be like 10 minutes after, I'm like taking a shower after a game, and then like all of a sudden there's cameras in the face. I'm like, I'm not even dressed yet. What am I supposed to do?
Don't drop the towel.
And it was like nerve wracking at first. And then you're like, wait a minute, they're doing their job just like anybody else. And it was prominent even then, I think. It's at another whole level now. Like, what's that experience really been like? I know there's still a lot of, equal pay and everything going on, but like, what's your experience been with it overall?
I feel like it's never going to be easy. I feel like I always have to take an extra step as a woman because you don't want to come off a certain way and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. But I feel like when I first started out, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't have any women I could really look up to because all there was like Erin Andrews and Bonnie Bernstein and like Oprah. That was like it. And maybe there was more. I just was kind of like in my little tunnel vision stuff. But even with Erin Andrews, at first all she did was sideline. So I was assuming women are only supposed to do sideline stuff. And I got so annoyed because I'm like, why can't I be on the panel next to Michael Morse talking about this game? Like, I don't understand why I can't do that. So you kind of have to be naive in a way. You have to just be like, no, I deserve to be here, whether you do or not. You have to have that mentality. And I think seeing other women there made it a little bit easier. They made the road less bumpy, but it's always going to be bumpy. And those women aren't going to hold my hand through the process. I kind of have to do it on my own. But at the same time, I do know that if I'm not going to be the trailblazer because there's women before me. and everything like that. And there's women behind me as well. And I feel like the main glass ceiling breaking was when women had multiple roles, not just the sideline reporter. We have women just doing the NFL Twitter accounts, and people are like, oh, it's Twitter, whatever. That's a difficult thing to do, to cover an entire fan base, an entire team social media account. Like, that's big. There was one point, I think like 16 of the teams in the NFL were ran by women, those accounts. And obviously, like, what was their NFL playing experience? Probably non-existent, and everything like that. So I think it's definitely been great over time, but I feel like there's always going to be that extra dark cloud around it. But, I've been playing baseball since I was, 8 or 9. And then I was forced to play softball because when I tried out for my high school team, they're like, well, no, like, we have softball, which is not the same sport, and it fucking drives me nuts. And and it was kind of one of those scenarios. And so I was like, well, fine, if you're not going to let me do this, like, I'm going to start my own career just talking about the game. And I did switch to softball for college opportunities just because, like, that's how it was. But I also am glad I'd played baseball, and I was used to just being around guys. And, like, even on my job, like, when I'm sitting at the desk in the newsroom, it's all dudes and then me. And it's not bad. I'm like used to it. I often forget, like, oh, right, like, this is weird that there's only one girl here. But, now that I've established myself, it's like she's a journalist before she's female. And I think that's what's really cool. But it's been a lot easier, but it's never been easy.
So what's interesting to me is you talk about the Twitter, you talk about being the dropout in college.
Yeah.
You came up in a different way through Twitter. How did you end up at NBC Sports that way?
So for me, I would just kind of develop this personality on social media, and people just kept saying, like, hey, if you want, like, we won't pay you, but you can blog, like, on our website, which I wasn't upset about that at first. Cause like, well, yeah, you have to start somewhere. And for me, it was like, I was trying to be funny and then also be knowledgeable and entertaining, which is so difficult to do because
Tip has a hard time with that.
Oh yeah.
People either want to be entertained or get knowledge.
Yeah, they want to get their information, and they don't think that should be funny sometimes, right?
Exactly. And so, being a smart ass myself, like, even the other day, like, Joe West is of course going to be in the postseason being an umpire, and I made a joke like, oh, Angel Hernandez. Yep. I was like, oh, Angel Hernandez is going to be in the postseason, like, on purpose, and making a joke of it. And people are like, Jessica, that's how it works. I'm like, oh my gosh, my gosh, and just stuff like that. So I for me, it was just developing that and kind of leaning into it, and I feel like that was part of it too. So I just developed this kind of, well, she knows baseball. She's blogging about baseball. And so MLB.com first reached out, and it was through Cut 4. And it's more of like the fun stuff that happens in the dugout with the baseball spin. Like, you can write a slash line on whoever, that's great, Xavier, or, whoever you want to write about. And then, but I want to talk about, like, well, what happened when Xavier Scruggs got off the field? Like, did he go home and he wanted to talk about the rotisserie chicken him and his wife ate for dinner? Like, I want to know more about that and all of that. So after that, I was at MLB.com, and that's when NBC reached out. But it was just me, like, kind of developing a personality and being able to be well-rounded, because I could report, I could be an analyst, I can host, I can write a blog, I could write an in-depth piece, I can do investigative journalism, which my agent says being well-rounded is great, but also kind of sucks if I just want to do a certain type of thing and reporting and all of that. So it was just kind of getting discovered. And in this industry, it's very much like, this is opened, let's fill it. And I barely have ever applied for jobs, because it's usually just like, oh, she's available, we need this, let's go. And then that type of dynamic. So I mean, it was an interesting story, but you've
built a nice job building a brand for sure.
Maybe you can help us.
Yeah, you can help us.
We're stuck at like 6'10", I think.
Oh yeah, well, we're not very big Instagram guy. Max is our Instagram guy. You'll notice, like, he's going to be over there nice and quiet. But I mean, we're building it up. We're going to start working towards it.
I can help y'all. Don't worry about that.
All right, perfect. Yeah. Broadcasting idol, though, you mentioned a couple. Do you have? And I'm saying broadcasting because that's who you used to hear more, right? It might be just personality in general now. It might be like, do you want to be more like a Dallas Braden, right? Like somebody, somebody that like that. Is that who was your idol overall though when it came to
this? was mine at the very beginning, and it was actually my nickname in high school. And just because I was like, I'm going to work for ESPN one day, like, it's going to happen. And so my nickname for my history teacher, my government teacher, was Linda Cohn, and I liked her because she's she can do so much. And she was a hockey girl, which I thought was interesting because, and I'm not taking away from anything, but in baseball, there aren't as many women as there are in NFL for sure. And in NBA, I feel like they're way more women friendly as far as the coverage goes. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that those two sports across both genders are the same. But no, I like the mixture of, Dallas Braden, and one of my best friends, Melanie Newman. She became the first woman to do the Orioles play-by-play. And I love listening to her. And she just sounds like so real and natural without like changing her voice too much. I feel like women thought they had to do that to sound like more raspy and more male friendly, which is stupid. Like, be yourself. So I like the combinations of those. I definitely want to be entertaining, funny with the personality, but I want people to learn something when they're done talking to me or listening to me or reading one of my articles. So it was Linda Cohn, of course, Dallas Braden, and I did love watching Erin Andrews, of course, and Jessica Mendoza was awesome too. And her and I become close recently. So those were my main ones.
Yeah, because there's going to be an all-female broadcast team, right? Isn't it going to be
they did one on, it was Andrea Kramer on Thursday nights for football, for Amazon, and I forget who was.
But baseball just did it recently, right? Didn't baseball have
Melanie
a color
Newman
analyst?
And Mendoza just did it for ESPN, and then about a month or two ago, it was Melanie Newman, Sarah Langs, Laura Gardner, and Heidi Watney, and then Alana Rizzo, all female broadcast, and from the hosting to the analysts, the play-by-play, all women. It was beautiful.
Watney's from around here. Is she from California? I know she's working out there, but she was covering.
She did Nesson. She was with Nesson.
She's from around. Yeah, she was at Nesson.
I think she was from here too. Are you from California?
I'm from Reno, Nevada.
Okay, so
so I moved out here a few years ago for the job.
What's the best stadium to go to?
Yes.
Ooh.
Either all right.
I haven't been
A and B.
all 30.
A, to watch the game, and B, the best food.
Well, and I was going to say, what is the food? And then also, though, you can't say Oakland on this because it's not the best stadium.
No.
I will say it's the stadium that's hosted all of my cool memories. I will say it's the first stadium I remember going to, but Petco is probably my favorite.
Cool stadium.
As far as the food goes, Petco food is good because people are smoking weed. Like, they got good munchies there. Like, everything.
And all the roof decks and all the apartments that are overlooking that stadium. It's really cool.
I love the vibe there.
Yep.
Oracle Park, though, is my absolute favorite, and that it hits every spot. Like, even the press box, you're looking out. In Oakland, you're looking down, so I'm used to that, and I'm small, so it's like a big deal for me. But Oracle's just beautiful. It's always cooler there, which is nice because it's right by the water.
Yep.
There's just so much history there, and just it's beautiful, and it's San Francisco. Like, it's really cool. I've never been to PNC Park, and that's probably the one that will give Oracle a run for its money, from what I hear.
Where's PNC? We should bring her back one time and do a trivia question strictly on baseball.
Oh, you'd be good at this. She would kill us.
Oh, I know, but it'd be fun to watch you lose. I would get absolutely crushed.
Oh, I'd get crushed too.
I was like, where's Oracle? Where's PNC? And where's Petco?
Petco's San Diego.
Okay, so that's it. I haven't been.
Oh, sorry. That's my bad. I should.
No, Jessica, it's not your bad.
No, it's his bad for not knowing this
and
stuff.
then you also brought up Lance Lynn. Everybody wants to know about Lance Lynn. Who's Lance Lynn?
Well, this is on you.
Yeah, you tell me. Who's Lance Lynn?
I have no idea. I'm assuming he's an A's player.
No, he's with the White Sox.
All right.
There's a lot she could rattle off.
And they're doing good apparently this year, right?
Oh,
they're in the playoffs, correct? Yep. Yes.
That's a cool stadium now.
We're going to baseball 101 right here.
Comiskey used to be a dump. And then now it's guaranteed rate field. It's nice. I just went to a game there this year. It's a beautiful, beautiful stadium now. Where was your favorite stadium?
Fenway.
Have we said that?
Fenway.
No, football.
No, to play?
Football. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Seattle was really cool.
I thought you might say Denver.
Denver's awesome.
Yeah,
I think Denver and Seattle. Those were the two places to play.
Well, you didn't get to eat the food though.
No.
So
and what always pissed me off about the games too is like
I wanted like a sausage. You could smell the sausage.
I would be sitting on the sideline in between drives or something like that, or in pregame sitting there warming up, and I'm just thinking of everybody tailgating out there, enjoying the food, the beer, having a great time, not about to go out there and just smash your bodies and
in half,
and the stress and everything else, and then I remember like after half, if it was a close game or close to the end, be like, oh, I can't wait to just have a beer after this.
See, he never got to experience like a bullpen though, Jessica. That's the thing. Like, because in the bullpen, like, we'll have somebody come down. And they're like, hey, can you bring a thing of nachos down and like kind of hide it in the corner? Can you grab me a sausage? And then we just had a guy on the other day. One of my friends that will be coming on the podcast, but we told a story about him. He used to chart in the stands. As in the minor leagues, you chart in the stands.
Right.
You don't, for two starts
if
or whatever
you're not
it is.
like starting or
So there's
Tip tries to make it seem like starting pitchers do something other than the game that they play.
Yeah, they do. You chart for a couple of days. You got to learn what's going on. But I had a buddy who sat in the Maker's Mark Club. You're supposed to be down like in the first like 10 rows. He had a burger and a beer and like charted like from the Maker's Mark Club in Lexington. It's like an all-time story. It's classic. And there was like Rovers in town and they wrote him up and he was blackballed forever. But so I have a this and that coming up, but I've got a couple more questions.
No,
do you have any more?
I'm interested in what she thinks of Garrett Cole last night.
Okay, on the Red Sox-Yankees game?
Yeah.
I got to be honest. So the wild card game is my favorite every season. The A's are usually in it, of course. But last night I was kind of like, that wasn't a wild card game. That felt very like blue ballsy, if you will. Like a few years back when the A's made it against the Rays, same thing. It was my first postseason coverage in person. And I was like, man, like, okay, I went to a postseason game and I got to cover it, but it wasn't like a good game. And a few years back, it was Royals versus A's where like I dropped food. I was like on the edge of my seat. I was peeing myself almost. That's a wild card game.
While covering it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you needed in
Emotions.
a wild card.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case last night.
I also think it's funny how in baseball we celebrate all the different things, right? Like, so when you clinch, you have a party in the clubhouse.
Oh, God.
When you win the one wild card game, you have a party in the clubhouse. By the way, you play in 24 hours.
By the way, that's hilarious because you always see the basketball, the baseball,
Partying
the
like
champagne
crazy.
spraying everywhere. We won the Super Bowl my rookie. I'm so naive. I'm just like looking around. I was like, where the hell are the champagne bottles or anything? Like, there's like nothing. It was like it was the same like post game thing. Reporters coming in, they drag you out to like a podium or something like that. But it was like the same thing. I was like, God, why can't we? Have
What's
this?
hilarious is in the minor leagues, you win the first and second half. That's how they do it. So like you have a first half winner. Is like the way the minor league, and then the two winners play.
So basically, the wild card is just a reason to drink because you actually got to the playoffs.
It's a one game.
It's a one game
series. So I feel like that's crazy. I mean, last year they did the 3 game because of the pandemic and everything like that, but that was still stressful too.
You play 162 games. You get to that point, you give them one game. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Give them 3. Give them 5.
I know. Give them 3. Give them 3.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a debate right now. They might start doing a 3-game wild card series.
Yeah, it's tough to do an all for, both teams, same record going into this wild card thing. Like, it all comes down to one game. Now,
I also love it. Like,
I know,
inject that shit into my veins every time.
I know, because I think back through the season and I go, remember that game if they lost where they were up 4 in the 9th and they blew it?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had to do this if that wasn't the case.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's crazy when it comes to that.
If you've got one game with all your baseball knowledge, stats, and knowing the players, if you've got one game, wild card, game 7,
You
doesn't
stole my
matter.
question.
Well,
You saw my
believe you
notebook.
no, I
and you
didn't.
stole my
No,
question.
you should have asked it. Who are you putting on the mound?
Like in a wild card situation?
Yep.
In
one game, you got to win
game.
one. Say it's game 7.
Winner go home. Game 7, wild card, play in, doesn't matter.
Current pitcher.
Yep.
All time. All time.
All time. I
All
like that.
time. Okay, this is a starter, right? We're doing a starter.
Yep. This is a person that you know.
I want the guy who's going to come in after the first guy got shellacked.
No, give us a left-handed.
Mariano Rivera, give me him all day.
Give me a
But
left-handed
he's usually
specialist.
not coming in if he got shellacked.
That's true.
I would probably say maybe Justin Verlander, just because he has a tendency to get better as the game goes on. Like his velocity goes up. Obviously, I don't know how he'd be after his surgery right now, but I'm thinking like 2015, 2014, Justin Verlander, right before he went to the Astros, because the guy is solid. Like I said, his velocity gets better as the time goes on, and he's a postseason specialist. He knows how to handle it all. So I think I like that. But I'm going to go 4 year ago, Justin Verlander in that scenario.
Okay.
That's fair.
What about a fictional one? This just came to my head.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah. Fictional
I would
pitcher.
have to go for love of the game, Billy.
Okay, he was on my short list, but you got to go Rick Vaughn. Give me Ricky. give him the heater.
him as a starter. I hate him as a starter.
Yeah, you wanted him as a reliever. Okay, so you can start with Billy, and then you can
as a starter. That would be the situation where they're like, oh, we're going to go with an opener, and you look at Ricky Vaughn, you're like, oh, fuck, we're going to lose.
I gotcha. Okay, all right.
He just came off a bender, people. He's not going to pitch very good.
What a great movie, by the way.
We want to give him 7 innings to sober up and then come out. Yeah.
Let's go back on that. What's your favorite baseball movie? Is there? There's a lot of great ones. Is it For Love of the Game?
That's a good.
I think it's because there's a love story. Like I'm a girl at the end of the day, and Kevin Costner baseball movies are always good. Field of Dreams is a close second, of course, but I like the way that they stayed very true to an actual MLB game. And John C. Reilly as a catcher, would you great. Not love him as your catcher?
I'd love for him to catch. He
would bury a body for you. He would cover up you doing all kinds of crazy things, and then still be able to call the game by himself and know every single batter, everything like that. I love that.
There's a lot of catchers.
Throw him in a NASCAR. Throw him as a caddy in a golf movie. It'd be phenomenal.
He's the same role. He's the same role. He's the sidekick. He's the sidekick role. That's what he is. He's the stepbrother. I'm trying to think if there was one other one. Well, The Natural, I really love. Well, you love The Natural.
She never watched that.
Field of Dreams, Natural, and
she's never seen that.
Love the
Oh, you have to see The Natural tonight.
Is good though, especially if I'm in the mood to cry. Like, oh yeah.
The Natural is. I get pretty damn close to teary-eyed.
I'm sure you do.
Well, I do have a Lance Lynn fun fact about Field of Dreams. Okay. So if you guys saw this year, they did do the Field of Dreams game, which was gorgeous. It was amazing.
Yeah. So I've been there. Cool. Jessica, I've been there. Have you?
I've never been.
Oh, no. I've been walking. I've walked.
It's the only thing to do in Iowa.
Yeah, that's
true. I gotta ask my parents if they can find, because there is a picture of me walking out of the corn.
How old are you?
I was probably anywhere from 7 to 10 years old.
Oh, so it's gonna.
I'd say
rough framed.
10 to 12. That's when I go.
That'd be a nice frame picture.
It would be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great frame. That should be in the background for sure.
So let's hear Lance Lynn.
See, that's good. That's how
it was the White Sox.
It was the White Sox versus the Yankees in the game.
Yeah.
And Lucas Giolito had the original start for the White Sox, but Lance Lynn, they gave it to Lance Lynn, who's from the area. Cool. And so he was able to like have his family there, his like hometown people there. And you guys really need to look up Lance Lynn. The guy's dope. Like he cusses and he's insane and he's crazy, but like the biggest teddy bear and the biggest sweetheart, like the quintessential big starting pitcher that you're scared of, but also you'd have a beer with.
Yep.
And so it was a really cool moment for him because Giolito was like, this is yours. Like he was injured, but not. And it was kind of an exhibition game. So it was kind of whatever. And then to see like Aaron Judge come out of the corn and those guys come out of the corn, it was just like an overall beautiful thing, but like it was like one of those more than baseball moments. And I absolutely loved it.
It was great.
My answer to the pitcher
by the way, that was the first game I watched all year.
Unbelievable.
I mean, like the ninth inning in that game was amazing. And last night, the Red Sox Yankees was my second game.
I'm surprised that you're not a background.
Too many games. No. Too many games.
It's a lot of games.
Too many goddamn games.
I'm surprised that he's not surprised that you're not a background baseball watcher. Because that's kind of what I am,
when
right?
You're folding laundry or something.
Yeah, it's just on a TV in the house. You know, it's on. It's like you're outside on the back porch. It's on, right? You're having a fire. It's on.
No, we're watching those like 2020s and unsolved mysteries are in the background.
Oh, I love Dateline.
Or Ted Lasso. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so you're like a show guy.
I haven't watched Ted Lasso yet, but I'm going to.
Oh, boy.
People are turning into more show people than sport people. That is true.
For sure.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch it like a binge-worthy show.
Yeah, that's true. I hear you on that. Let's see what else we got here. I've got a few more things. You had a series or something I saw on Instagram or Twitter where it was like mound meeting stories. Where it was like, so what's your best? Do you have one off the top of your head of like some of the funniest things that like coaches said to pitchers on mound visits? Because there's like some funny spoofs about this with like the little leaguers and stuff.
Those are great.
Those are so funny.
Those are great.
But that shit's real though.
That's like read my lips from the NFL or whatever. It's like when he goes in, it's like you sucked or something like that. Give me the ball.
Yeah. I really liked one. It was Clint Hurdle, and who's amazing. And he was at the time he was the manager of the Rockies, and I think they were down. My gosh. Must have been like 9 runs. And they just brought up this rookie who Hurdle was just like, hey man, I'm going to put you in. Like, I hate to do this, but we got to eat up innings and I can't get my bullpen because we have a series coming up. And so it kind of went down. And then I think they teed off of him from what I remember. And Clint runs out there. And, when the manager goes out, as you know, like that means you're done. But the manager kept going out just to have a pep talk with him. Because at that point it's like, F it, like you're not going to come out. You have to finish this game. And so the pitcher was young and he was scared shitless. And so, but he got out of the inning and I can't remember. I haven't read that. I wrote it like a year and a half ago, everything like that. But Clint Hurdle might be one of the most kind-hearted people. And when he came out of the outing, the young guy looks up at Clint and was just kind of like, don't ever put me in that fucking situation again. And Clint's like, well, if my offense was okay, you wouldn't have to be, or my defense was okay, you wouldn't have to be in that position, type of a deal. And of course there was one with, who was it? Somebody with Greg Maddux, and they were playing behind him. And Greg Maddux straight up said, this ball is going to come to you. I'm throwing it inside. And the way that this guy hits it and the way that my ball moves. And the guy was like, fuck you. It's not going to come to me. Went right to him because it's Matt. You don't argue with Greg Maddux.
Yeah. No, he can do anything.
Yeah.
So
it's like playing basketball with Larry Bird.
Maddux was.
Exactly.
But I love those stories because you want to know what they're talking about. Some stuff they weren't going to reveal to me all the way. But I also want to do a series where it's the first baseman talking to whoever's on first. Because I feel like you could stand next to Brandon Belt and Joey Votto and have a full-on reality show about
that. They should always be mic'd up. My couple on this one real quick, because I had some funny mound visits, but I had a pitching coach one time that came out and like I was in the middle of a decent start, good start. He comes out in like the 5th inning and then comes and sees me, goes, hey, I just wanted to hear my music. That's all. Yeah. I just said that and then goes back. I'm like, all right, cool. Another one, I had a guy comes out. We have a little thing. The catcher's there, whatever. We're just like kind of bullshitting, like, hey, just, needed to kill a little bit of time, whatever. And then the catcher bag tags me. Right? And I literally had to like compose myself for a minute. Just gave me like the little bump, and I'm just like, you've got to, walked back. The pitcher's going back. I'm on my knees, like kind of sitting down on the mound, like trying to like settle in.
I got some cramps going on right now.
It's 2 outs. I got 2 outs. I got a guy in first. I got to get this guy out. Now I got a stomach ache.
Why is Fairchild stretching during this talk right now?
The catcher's got, remember the old thing where you sit Indian style and you pick the guy up from the back and drop balls back?
I think the best mic'd up thing, regardless, NFL or baseball, is Steinbrenner. Or is it not? It's George Brett.
Oh, George Brett is all time. There's two unbelievable.
Well, the one where he went to the steakhouse and he's stuck in the elelever or something like that, and he's talking about pooping himself.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Have you seen that interview? Jessica, you have to watch it immediately when we're done.
You have to watch
the George Brett
it is
spring
so
training
funny.
Shit his pants story is the funniest baseball mic'd up interview. Or funniest maybe interview ever that's mic'd up.
The way he starts out, he's talking about the steak, but he's like describing the steak.
I gotta tell you, he's
like a big 25-ounce T-bone and everything. He's loving it.
He goes, guess what? And he's like, guess what? They're in stretch in spring training. And he's like, what's going on? Like, you guys are stretching on the ground. He goes, I shit my pants last night. It's such a great interview. You would die laughing at that one.
Yeah, I have to watch that.
What about the best call in sports? Like, so not like a broadcaster technically, but like the best. It could be sports in general. It could be baseball. Where, like, there was one last night was hilarious because Giancarlo Stanton hit a ball that everybody thought was a home run. The Yankees announcer thought it was gone. He said, like, oh, it's a Stantonian home run.
Everybody thought that thing was gone. That thing left the bat so hard. I can't believe both of them stayed in.
Is there a great call that you can remember out there that you like, that you're like, geez, like that gives me chills?
I feel the most recent one was the Mariners when Mitch Haniger hit a home run. I think it was the go-ahead one where they lifted themselves over the Angels. And I've been covering Mitch Haniger since my minor league days, and he's finally coming into where like everybody all of a sudden knows who he is. I'm like, I've been writing about him for 5 years. Like, get off me. Like, you should know about him. And now the Mariners broadcasting, mind you, as you know, they don't make it to the postseason, just not a thing. And so they actually had the video on him, and he's standing up and just gets into it, and it's beautiful. And it was one of those, like, it reminds you why baseball's so good. And you mentioned chills. Like I literally had to put a sweater on. It was so beautifully done. And it was Mitch Haniger, of course, who's just up and coming in the Mariners. It's probably Kyle Seager's last time with the Mariners and everything like that. And it was really cool. But literally anytime Vince Scully is talking, because he gives good stories, which I like, because he's seen everything. So despite going through like the play-by-play, then he'll give you a really good story. That's always good. But I think
it's Vince Scully because the voice. Sure. It's Vince Scully because the voice. The voice is it's just delivered perfectly. Yeah. And then the only other one, the one I was thinking about that's funny is, remember the pizza in Boston? The guy threw the pizza and it was Jerry Remy and Orsillo. Have you seen this video?
I don't think I've seen it.
We have like 3 videos we have to put in this episode.
It was nice.
Because all 3 of these are absolutely hysterical.
It was nice that Remy was at the game last night.
It was
good to see.
It was. But a Yankees fan takes a piece, or a Red Sox fan takes a piece of pizza and throws it at a Yankees fan, but they got it on camera and they did the play-by-play for it. And he's like, he reaches back, throws the pizza, and they're dying. Like they couldn't compose it for 2 innings. They were beside themselves. I love that one. But it's got to be also Gibson, the home run. The Vince Scully one. That thing was that was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was that was beautifully done. Yeah.
Okay, I've got a this or that. You want me to hit it?
Hit it.
Okay. These go fast, but you can answer as long as you want. Okay. And we said that one time it was a yes or no answer, but then it was wrong. Remember that was with Woodhead?
It was wrong.
And he goes yes to Brady and to
no, that wasn't an option.
There wasn't an option. Okay.
No, it was Brady or Rivers, right?
So I guess this first one doesn't really this or that either. But it's close. Is Barry Bonds a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay. Is there 100%. Anybody else that's not a Hall of Famer that should be? I have one in my head right now.
Is that changing? That's got to be changing. Is that changing? Because everybody was taking steroids back then, correct?
That is correct. And I feel like it's crumbling down, but Bonds only has a certain amount. I really think he'll eventually be in. I think he'll get inducted just somehow, but not through the voting process.
Right.
But I just don't like the way that the voting occurs. I also am glad I don't get a vote because I feel like people are going to be pissed off no matter what. But even Pete Rose, I feel like is a Hall of Famer as well. I genuinely believe
I agree.
That.
Pete Rose is, and Roger Clemens got to get in. Crazy.
Are they going to keep pictures out for Sport Tack or whatever the Spider Tack shit?
We've got some Spider Tack up here too in the booth.
I actually messed around with it once, and I wish I could put that like on my eyelashes.
It's crazy. It's crazy sticky. I can't believe how sticky it is.
Tip would still be pitching if he knew what Spider Tack was.
I wouldn't, because I don't know how I would use it. It's like, how would that make me better? I can't figure it out. Peanuts or Cracker Jacks?
Just like the standard
Max,
peanut?
What's funny,
No,
Max,
in the shell.
Max
It's got to be in the shell.
Buy me some peanuts or Cracker Jacks, Max.
I guess I'll do peanuts.
Okay, all right. Cabernet or Merlot? Because I see that you're a wine.
Yes.
I saw an awesome picture you put up with a wine glass with a baseball in it. That was a cool picture, by the way. Cabernet or Merlot?
Can I say yes? Just to
both? There you go. Okay, we can take a yes.
Yeah.
Yes, both. It sounds
You're
good.
the guest. You can do whatever you want.
I wrote this kind of funny, but pants, baseball players' pants, down, like over the shoe, or up? Okay, so socks.
Give me a Bobby Crosby. I want to see your socks. Some in like baggy a little bit up too. Like that's like a baller. That's a ball player. I love those mid infielders who just they move better. And I was always like that growing up too. Like pants down, fine, but I mean you gotta give me that little league
stirrup
vibe.
socks or just regular.
Oh wow, old school stirrup.
I like the stirrup.
Did you not hate those? No, I like in Little League and all that shit.
All the way up?
It's a separate one. So you wear the white underneath, and then you have a stupid stirrup that always ends up coming out the back of your shoe
all the time.
So stupid.
But, I mean, I do like the socks up because it's a way to express themselves too. If they want to have fun socks, that's what I like as well.
A little pop, a little flair out there. Okay, good. So we go back to the big game situation, but you have to pick one of these two. Is it Kershaw or Cole? Because I think both stink in big games.
So we're talking a big game scenario?
Big game scenario, you have to pick one of the two, Kershaw or Cole.
I'd probably go Cole, actually.
Okay.
Just because historically watching Kershaw kind of stresses me out.
Struggles in big games,
and
right?
he's not even going to be in this postseason, so that kind of evens that out for me.
That's true. Now, you have couple guys I play with, Elvis Andrus, Jed Lowry. They were on the A's, so like I played against them, and then with Jed when he was with Houston. I was there at the same time. Do you have a favorite on the team? Is there like a favorite for an interview?
How dare you?
I know, well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, this is where, like, because you're moving on to a different thing here. Like, can you say a favorite interview, a favorite conversation?
Or is it like kids? Does it change every day?
That's what I'm getting to.
But like you also have a favorite kid, right? Like secretly.
It depends on what day we're talking about.
Exactly.
For sure. Oh man. I don't even know if I have a favorite because they're all, I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say they're all great.
They're all great. I find that hard to believe. There's got to be a dick bag somewhere out there.
I got super lucky. That's the number one question that people ask me, like, who's the biggest asshole? And I've been.
So it's the opposite. I asked the opposite of that.
Yeah,
you did it in a positive light. Good job.
I spun it in a positive light, but
yeah. I will say that Matt Chapman really blew me away because my favorite thing was people were all like, Chapman doesn't talk a lot, but every interview I've had, we've been able to talk for longer than we were anticipated. So I really love that. And Chris Bassett might be my favorite. And we're just talking. Are we just talking A's or?
No, I mean, we can talk A's. We can talk anywhere. Is there any? Is there? And then is there? Because I have a follow up on this.
Okay. Buster Posey really surprised me too. Like he's low key funny, and people don't know that. But I got that out of him. Tim Lincecum was a great interview as well.
Weird
Bob
cat
Melvin's
right there.
always great.
Strange cat right there. Tim Lincecum.
Yeah, but I loved it.
He's a strange bird, but yeah, he was unbelievable for a little while for sure.
But I think, I got to meet Joey Votto and do an interview with him, and he's my favorite. And that was, he's so intelligent that I could have talked to him for years about the sport of baseball. And he was also kind of sassy with me, which I appreciated as well.
Yep.
So I don't even know if I can confidently give you a number one because I've been pretty lucky.
So with now that so I was going to ask you if you've interviewed Votto, but who's the one that you haven't had the interview with yet that you want? What's the interview that you want? It could be living or dead. I'll give you that.
I'd probably say Cal Ripken Jr.
Okay.
I came close to interviewing him because I was born in Baltimore. So we were an Orioles household. And just, the history of that organization is just beautiful. And he's the reason why my family even got into baseball. And my mom has huge ties to Baltimore, and so did my dad. So I think that's the one that I'd be the most excited about. And the second one would be Eric Chavez, because he's the reason I liked the A's. And the day after I did my first in-game interview and all of that, he threw out the first pitch the game after. So it's a really cool full circle moment for me. So I think those two are my main ones.
Chavez. I always liked Chavez too.
That's good.
Yeah.
He was a good looking guy, Chavez. I like him.
I remember the last name. I don't remember what he looks like.
He was kind of one of the first guys that had a little flow going on in the back of the head.
Was he after Damon?
During, right?
Was he during Damon?
When he was there,
Are they still doing Moneyball out in Oakland?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's still Moneyball.
I don't have anything to cover in the postseason.
Yeah, you got to spend.
Who's going to win this year?
I hate predictions. I'm like the worst at them.
All right, who's the best team in the playoffs right now?
I feel like the Dodgers still are the best team, but this postseason's so wonky because I had the Yankees winning last night, and joke's on me. But I feel like the Dodgers are the team that will win the World Series, but I could see the Rays making it interesting. Never sleep on the Astros. And of course, the Giants, just same thing. They've done something really, really special. And I don't think if the Giants don't win, they're probably going to win in the next 3 years because they just have such a phenomenal farm system that Farhan Zaidi kind of molded from the ground up. And it's amazing.
Yeah, they are. The Dodgers made some incredible trade deadline moves, and
but they're also spending like $500 million.
No, they got Scherzer.
Like
they went after. They have Trey Turner.
And
they went
Giants
after all the.
Haven't even spent.
And they made up one game on the Giants, and they still went like 42-7 or something like that.
Yeah.
They made up one game on them after that. So that's a stat for you right there, Dan.
Good stat.
You like that? Well, this was fun.
I'm going to take her advice over betting during baseball, especially because she lost last night.
Well, I bet with my heart.
I figure she's due.
Yeah, I bet with my heart. So we know that I'm.
That's so true. Yes.
Okay, so we're going with the Dodgers. I'm in for that. You want to go with the Dodgers?
I'm going with the Dodgers.
Red Sox.
I'm in with the Dodgers.
Dodgers, Red Sox.
All right.
Well, then I'm rooting for the Red Sox.
Sportsbook RI. Let's go.
Okay, Dodgers, Red Sox, World Series. We're in for it.
Right.
So, hey, this was awesome, Jessica. You are definitely a wealth of knowledge.
What about Gatorade?
We got to ask her Gatorade.
I mean,
That's
if you're giving so if you're doing Kirk Gibson type interview after the game, the players douse you with Gatorade. What color do you want it to be?
I don't care.
No, it's got to be a certain color,
Well,
and preferably one of the originals.
And say you had to drink a glass also.
See, I don't
Okay,
care.
so here's
In
the
this question, I don't care is not acceptable.
It's not.
For sure. So but if they're going to do it, I want it to be legit. That's also my bucket list, like to be doused in Gatorade. I want to be wearing a white dress and it better be blue or red or something.
See,
that's
she said red.
stained.
So red, you're
Stain
thinking
that
red?
thing.
Is red your favorite color?
I just feel like yellow Gatorade is disgusting and it needs to be outlawed.
All right, I love yellow Gatorade.
Why have yellow? Like, what is wrong? Like, why? It looks like, it's so
It does.
gross.
It does look like urine. You're right, but it
It
does
looks like
taste
urine.
delicious. Yeah. So we used to, just so you know, with this, and we still haven't got an answer. We need an answer of red, yellow,
She said
or
red. She said
you
blue or red. I'll take
I'd
red.
probably go mainly red, but blue's a close second.
Okay, so we did used to have a game that when we were playing, where if there was a post-game interview on the field, right? So it could have been a game-winning hit, right, or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was, say you were doing the interview. We used to always try to get the sideline or the reporter rather than the player all the
Yeah.
time. And just absolutely
That's how it
drench
should
them.
be.
It was so funny because we used to just soak people, and you could tell they were so mad. The best thing was when it was not necessarily maybe the sports people that were part of the team, but maybe just the news. So it was like a guy, it was like a poor guy that had to go back to the studio and like edit his own tape and then get it on the 11:30 news like fast. And he's wearing khakis and a polo shirt, and you just absolutely
socks.
murder him.
It's not
You
fun.
gotta milk that though. You
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is why I'm doing all that. But yeah, I'd be upset. I hate when you see like the reporters like trying to dodge it. I'm like, no. You gotta lean into that shit.
Lean into it. Okay,
Yeah.
I like
All right.
that. Well, we'll put the word out. We can get that. We can
Please
headhunt
do.
you. We
It's
can
on
get
my
a
bucket list.
Jessica Bounty gate
Well, yeah,
going on.
I mean, we're moving on. We can't say what you're doing next. We're moving on from the A's. So
We're gonna be
maybe,
following
maybe
you,
that
though.
chance is out there to get that type of
That's
celebration.
true. We're going to be following you. How do we follow you? How do we get the listeners to latch on to your social media handles?
Yeah, I'm super on Twitter. I put all my content on there, my articles. Kleinschmidt JD is my handle, and then Jessica Kleinschmidt on Instagram, and that's where most of my stuff is.
We're going to have to post that in the thing because that's going to be the spelling on that's going to be interesting for some people, Max. Because you could go. I could get 10 chances at that one. I maybe get it right.
Oh, I think you
I'm not a
do,
great
I think you
speller.
do fine.
We'll get you back on for a spelling bee at a
If you
baseball
remind
game.
yourself it's German, it kind of helps because it's
Okay.
a little bit. It's just
All right, we'll figure. We'll get it. We'll get it for the next time. We're gonna have you back on and talk baseball again soon.
I want to
or
hear,
maybe another sport.
I want
maybe
the
another sport.
yeah,
We don't know.
I want
we don't
the
know.
trivia. I want the
Right?
trivia.
The baseball.
I think
trivia.
I think she has a wealth of baseball knowledge in there that will just absolutely smoke you.
Oh, kill me. I'm not even putting. I'm not going to put up a fight against this. This is just what's going to happen. So.
And I feel like I wasn't even on my game today either. So that's
Well, you
interesting.
said about 20 names that I had no clue who
We're going to
you
do
were
some
talking
googling.
about.
Yeah,
so-
we'll do some
It's
googling
also
after.
the A's. The A's, like nobody knows who they are. So
Are they the
that's
best
fine.
colors in the game? Like in terms of the green and yellow?
The Kelly green.
I think so.
all day.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look how beautiful.
I know
that
it's
is.
sharp. It is a sharp color. The only color scheme that I think is better is like North Carolina blue. They do the blue
I would
and
agree.
white.
I like
I
that.
love that
Yeah.
look. It's kind of like
And
your
a lot of
shirt
the-
right now.
Yeah.
And the Royals will break out the baby powder blue every now
Those are
and then.
nice.
Too.
Those are nice. Dodgers are natural too. The Dodgers blue and white with the red
Yeah.
number. That's
Orioles are good. Orioles are good. Orange and black.
oh, you like the orange and black?
I like orange.
Ugh. All right.
It's nice.
Well, we look forward to following you. Thanks so much for coming on. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jessica. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Past Our Prime is brought to you by Squad Locker. Squad Locker is your one-stop shop for custom team apparel, delivered right to your front door. Learn more by visiting squadlocker.com.